Good morning, class 10. Today we shall continue with the lesson The 100 Dresses Part 1, and then we will start The 100 Dresses Part 2. We had stopped on page number 68. Now we will start from the second paragraph of page 68. The last thing which we read was that this girl, Maddie, she is thinking that maybe now it is her turn. Maybe now she is going to become the new target of Peggy and the other girls in the school. And if Peggy asked her one day that from where did you wear this dress, then what answer she is going to give? She will have to admit that she is wearing one of Peggy's old clothes, which her mother has changed slightly so that nobody in room number 13 would recognize it. Now we will read after this. If only Peggy would decide of her own accord. Decide of her own accord means decide on her own to stop having fun with Wanda. Oh well, Maddie ran her hand through her short blonde hair as though to push the uncomfortable thoughts away. What difference did it make? Slowly, Maddie tore into bits the notes she had started. She was Peggy's best friend, and Peggy was the best liked girl in the whole room. Peggy could not possibly do anything that was really wrong, she thought. As for Wanda, she was just some girl who lived up on Boggins Heights and stood alone in the schoolyard. She scarcely ever said anything to anybody. The only time she talked was in the schoolyard about her 100 dresses. Maddie remembered her telling about one of her dresses, pale blue with colored trimmings. And she remembered another that was brilliant jungle green with a red sash. You would look like a Christmas tree in that, the girls had said in pretended admiration. Pretended admiration means actually they were not admiring the dress, they were making fun, but they pretended, they acted that they admired that dress. Thinking about Wanda and her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet, Maddie began to wonder who was going to win the drawing and coloring contest. For girls, this contest consisted of designing dresses, and for boys, of designing motorboats. Probably, Peggy would win the girls' medal. Peggy drew better than anyone else in the room. At least, that's what everybody thought. She could copy a picture in a magazine or some film star's head so that you could almost tell who it was. Oh, Maddie was sure Peggy would win. Well, tomorrow the teacher was going to announce the winners. Then they would know. The next day it was drizzling. Maddie and Peggy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. Naturally, on a day like this, they didn't wait for Wanda Petrosky on the corner of Oliver Street, the street that far, far away under the railroad tracks and up the hill led to Boggins Heights. Anyway, they weren't taking chances on being late today because today was important. Why that day was important? Because the results of the drawing and painting competition was to be announced on that day, and it would be disclosed who would come first among the boys and girls. Do you think Miss Mason will announce the winners today? Asked Peggy. Oh, I hope so. The minute we get in, said Maddie. Of course, you'll win, Peg. Hope so, said Peggy eagerly. The minute they entered the classroom, they stopped short and gasped. That means they suddenly stopped and they took a loud breath in surprise. Gasp means they took a long, loud breath in surprise. There were drawings all over the room, on every ledge and window sill, dazzling colors and brilliant, lavish designs, all drawn on great sheets of wrapping paper. There must have been 100 of them, all lined up. These must be the drawings for the contest. They were. Everybody stopped and whistled or murmured admiringly. As soon as the class had assembled, Miss Mason announced the winners. Jack Beggles had won for the boys, she said, and his design for an outboard motor was on exhibition in room 12, along with the sketches by all the other boys. As for the girls, she said, although just one or two sketches were submitted by most, one girl and room 13 should be proud of her. This one girl actually drew 100 designs, all different and all beautiful. I think you must have guessed by now who is this winner. In the opinion of the judges, any one of the drawings is worthy of winning the prize. I am very happy to say that Wanda Prentrosky is the winner of the girls' medley. Unfortunately, Wanda has been absent from school for some days and is not here to receive the applause that is due to her. Let us hope she will be back tomorrow. Now, class, you may file around. That means you may take a round, you may move around and see all the paintings. You may file around the room quietly and look at her exquisite drawings. Exquisite means extremely beautiful drawings. The children burst into applause. They started clapping immediately. The children burst into applause, and even the boys were glad to have a chance to stamp on the floor, put their fingers in their mouths and whistle, though they were not interested in dresses. Look, Peg, whispered Maddie. That's that blue one she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, said Peggy, and here's that green one. Boy and I thought I could draw. So everybody was just amazed. They were shocked and surprised to see the beautifully drawn and painted dresses, 100 in number, drawn and painted by none other than Wanda. Now we shall continue with the next part of the story also, so that we do both the chapters in continuation, and then we will do all the question answers together. But together here does not mean, children, that you will mix up the question answers of both the chapters. You will do part 1 question answers separately and part 2 separately. Now let us start the 100 dresses part 2. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. Then she clapped her hands. Attention class. Everyone back to their seat, she ordered this. She asked all the students who were taking a round to see the paintings in that room 13. She asked everybody to go to their seats. When the shuffling of feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, Miss Mason said, I have a letter from Wanda's father that I want to read to you. Miss Mason stood there a moment, and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. Expectant means everybody was very hopeful to know what was written in the letter. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming, this letter from Wanda's father, was a matter of great importance. The adjusting of her glasses by the teacher showed that the letter had something serious written in it, something important was going to be read out. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jack also. Now we move away to big city. No more holla pollack. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petrowski. So these very few words clearly indicated that this note was written in an angry tone. Vanda's father said that now there will be nobody to make fun of my daughter's name. There will be nobody to ask her why your name is funny, why your name is such a long one, and nobody is going to mock at her, nobody is going to make fun of her anymore, because now we are going to move to a big city. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Everybody was shocked because the classmates of Vanda never must have expected that this would be read from the letter. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Miss Mason took off her glasses, blew on them, and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was low. That means she was now going to speak in a serious manner, and she was also not very happy that such a talented girl, Vanda, had left the school. I am sure that none of the boys and girls in room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feelings because his or her name happened to be a long, unfamiliar one. She is now talking to the students. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. That means she is saying, she is not blaming the children. Please make a note of how the teacher is addressing the students in room 13. She is saying that I can never imagine that the students of room 13 could hurt anybody's feelings by asking her why your name is such a long one or why your name is such a funny one. Whatever was said to Vanda was just said out of thoughtlessness. That means there was no intention of hurting her feelings. I know that all of you feel the way I do. That is, that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened. Unfortunate and sad, both. And I want you all to think about it. She is saying that Vanda leaving a school like this and her father writing such a serious note for everybody, this is something very unfortunate and very sad. And she is asking all the students to think over it. The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in bottom of her stomach. Sick feeling means she was feeling guilty. She was feeling unhappy. She was sad. She was somewhere or the other blaming herself for what had happened. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True. She had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Vanda how many dresses she had in her closet. We have read in the previous part, children, that she was always wanting to stop Peggy from asking such questions to Vanda. She never wanted Peggy to repeatedly ask this question to Vanda, how many dresses do you have in your closet? And that is why she is having a guilty feeling, a sick feeling, an uncomfortable feeling within herself. She had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Vanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Because children, it is often said, you also must have heard somewhere or the other, that if somebody is doing something wrong, and you are listening to it quietly, you are not raising your voice against that wrong, you are not opposing the wrong, you are listening to it. That means indirectly you are also a part of that wrong which is being committed. If you are silent, that does not mean that you can escape from the situation. You can protect yourself by saying that I did not say anything. If you are silent, you are not raising your voice against the wrong somebody is doing. That means you are a party to it. You are also a part of that wrong and you will be equally blamed. So here she is blaming herself because she never spoke against Peggy, although she wanted to, but she couldn't, and that is why she has to be blamed equally. Worse, she was a coward. She is blaming herself. All these thoughts are coming in her mind. She was a coward. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean, but she, Maddie, had thought that they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Vanda's shoes. That means she could place herself in Vanda's situation and she could well imagine how she must have felt. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Vanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, she, Maddie, had to do something. Now, Maddie was constantly feeling very guilty and very bad about what had happened. And she is continuously asking several questions to herself. She is calling herself a coward. She is blaming for what has happened. And she is saying whether Peggy does something or she doesn't do. But she will have to do something. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, she, Maddie, had to do something. She had to find Vanda Petrosky. Maybe she had not yet moved away. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her and they would tell Vanda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were beautiful. So Maddie wants to go to Vanda's house to see whether she has not left the place, so that both the friends Peggy and Maddie could tell her that she had won the contest and the dresses she made were very beautiful. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness. Pretended casualness means she was just acting that she was not worried about what has happened. She was not very upset about what had happened and everything is fine. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left the town or not." So Peggy had the same idea. Even Peggy wanted to do the same. Maddie glowed. Maddie was happy to listen to this idea. Peg was really all right. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street towards Boggins Heights, the part of town that wore such a forbidding air of this kind of November afternoon, drizzly, damp and dismal. Now what is the meaning of this? The part of the town that had a forbidding air of this kind of November afternoon, drizzly, damp and dismal. See, the meaning is given. The air was wet. Damp means it was wet and dismal means it was sad. Here the writer tries to portray that as these two girls reached that part of the town, in the air itself there was sadness. The air was gloomy, the air was sad. Why? Because Vanda had not only left the town, Vanda had not only left the school, but she had also left the town and she had gone to a big city. So leaving her school and leaving the town had not only made her friends unhappy, but the whole atmosphere was gloomy and sad. Well, at least, said Peggy gruffly. Gruffly means roughly. I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. I thought she was too dumb. And Gee means she is showing an expression of pleasure and surprise. Look how she can draw. She is very surprised. She is showing her surprise mixed with pleasure when she says, look how she can draw. So this girl Peggy is explaining and saying in a rough tone that she had never called her a foreigner. She did not make fun of her name. She just was, according to Peggy, Wanda did not have so much of sense that she could realize that Peggy was making fun of her. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked on her. Picked on her means they had been unkind to her. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was, and please not to move away and everybody would be nice. So Maddie was still very eager to meet Wanda so that she could apologize. She would show that they were unkind to her, and she would also promise that everybody in the school would be nice to her. Now the boys and girls would behave nicely to her, and she should not leave the school and go away. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get the top of the hill before dark. I think that's where the Petronskis live, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house. Wisps of old grass stuck up there. That means small pieces of old grass stuck up there, here and there, along the pathway like thin kittens. The house and its sparse little yard. Sparse means small. The house and its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Vanda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. There was not a sign of life about the house. That means there was nobody in the house. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went round to the backyard and knocked there. Still, there was no answer. There was no doubt about it. The Petronskis were gone. How could they ever make amends? That means they were thinking that Petronskis have gone away. How could they show that they were sorry for their mistakes? How could they apologize for their mistakes? They turned slowly and made their way back down the hill. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she is gone now. So, what can we do? Besides, when I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. Now, look at this girl, Peggy. She is, instead of blaming herself for all this that has happened, she is saying that because she used to ask about the dresses every day, so Wanda got new ideas, 100 ideas about the 100 dresses which she could draw. Otherwise, she would not have won the contest. That means indirectly, Peggy is saying that Wanda won the contest because of her repeated questions which she asked every day. How many dresses do you have? Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. But that night, she could not get to sleep. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. At last, Maddie sat up in bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. That means she is repeatedly thinking, Maddie is repeatedly thinking about Wanda, and she is saying that she is never going to stand by. She will never stand quietly. If in future anybody else is going to be made fun of like this, she is not going to stand by quietly. She would say something. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. That means she is repeatedly blaming herself that had she raised her voice, had she opposed Peggy, then this would not have happened. Now she is saying to herself that in future she is not going to repeat the mistake of keeping quiet. She is not going to stand by a girl or she is not going to support the girls like Peggy. If they are going to make fun of anybody, she is going to speak something. She will not remain quiet now. If she ever heard anybody picking on someone means treating someone unkindly, unfairly, criticizing them. If she ever heard anybody picking on someone because they were funny looking or because they had strange names, she would speak up. That's what I said just now in the previous paragraph, last line which I have just read. It meant that now she is promising to herself that now she is not going to stand by that person who will make fun of anybody else in future. If any girl like Peggy is going to make fun of any other student in future, she will not stand quietly and listen to those funny remarks. Rather, she would speak out. So, she is saying that if she heard now anybody making fun of others, picking on someone, then she would not keep quiet, she would speak up. Even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. Now see how serious she is. She is so hurt by Wanda leaving the school and leaving the town as well that Maddie is constantly blaming herself. Maddie is constantly blaming herself and saying that had she spoken against Peggy, had she raised her voice against Peggy, then surely she would have stopped from what has happened. She would have stopped Wanda from going. And she says that even if she has to break the friendship of from the girls like Peggy, she will readily do it, but she will speak out. Even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. She had no way of making things right with Wanda. She had no way of making things right with Wanda. That means she is thinking that now she does not have anything to do which can bring Wanda back. She has nothing which she can do to make friend with Wanda once again, to tell Wanda that she didn't like what had happened, she didn't like what Peggy used to do, and she can't bring Wanda back. She had no way of making things right with Wanda, but from now on, she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. So, this is the solemn promise she makes to herself. On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petrosky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawings were, and they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. They just meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter, the kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of X's for love. They mailed the letter to Boggins Heights, writing "Please forward" on the envelope. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back. So maybe Wanda had received it. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry she was not going to answer. You could not blame her. Weeks went by and still Wanda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Wanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with how many dresses have you got. That means even in her sleep, Maddie used to think that girls are asking her the same question, and she is defending the crowds. She is giving out answers to defend herself. How many dresses have you got? And before Vanda could press her lips together in a tight line the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. So she is recalling everything. How such questions were asked to Vanda, how she pressed her lips, how she used to feel embarrassed and ashamed. Maddie is recalling everything. All those incidents, all those things are coming in her dreams regularly. Now it was Christmas time, and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom. On the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. You remember Vanda Petrosky, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest? Well, she has written me, and I am glad to know where she lives, because now I can send her medal. I want to read her letter to you. The class sat up with a sudden interest and listened intently. That means they were very serious in listening what the letter is about to say. Dear Miss Mason, how are you and room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses, because in my new house I have 100 new ones, all lined up in my closet. I would like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming, and her friend Maddie to have the blue one. For Christmas, I miss that school, and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. So she wrote her thoughts beautifully, and the 100 dresses were gifted to the students in the class, and she says that I have a new set of 100 dresses in my closet in my new house. Yours truly, Vanda Petrosky. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. What is a holly, children? Holly is a plant having shiny dark green leaves, which is usually used in Christmas decoration. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked. That means they were full. Piles of Christmas trees were put together. And cornucopias meaning is given, decorative containers usually full of flowers and fruits. Cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were strung. So it was Christmas time. Everywhere things could be seen